So we'll start. Ask you to come forward as you're representing your agency, the ABC Board.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
I see you. We've had a request that you introduce yourself as well.
Absolutely. My name's Dean.
Everybody, yeah.
Dean Argo, and I'm a manager of government relations and communications for the ABC Board.
Okay. All right. Do you have any, so Senator Orr is not here, and he's given me in advance his list of questions.
Yes, sir.
So his questions about this contract.
Yes, sir.
Communications assistance, including development of anti-underage drinking materials and online virtual presentations.
Yes, sir.
The question he has, and I wrote it down. What are they going to do? Don't we have off-the-shelf videos in existence?
Yes, sir. Senator Orr and I have had that conversation before, so I expected the question. There is no really off the shelf. There are programs that are available from different entities around the country, but this was an Alabama created program. We started in 2014. We go to schools, we do an hour-long presentation with a Mothers Against Drunk Driving volunteer and an ALEA SBI agent or state trooper. So it's Alabama specific. We tailor it to whatever the school's needs are, whether it's underage drinking or vaping or opioid use or whatever that particular school is facing. So as I've explained to Senator Orr before, we could get a program from the federal CDC or from the National Institutes of Health, but it would not be Alabama specific.
Do we have data to indicate the success of these programs?
Yes, sir. I believe that any entity that's tracking underage drinking in the state will tell you that our underage drinking rates are actually decreasing. The number of our young people that are drinking are actually drinking more, but the instances of young people drinking in the state is actually declining, and we think a lot of that has to do with our program.
Any questions?
Is this the program that Rusty Glover works on?
I'm sorry.
Rusty Glover.
Yes, Rusty is one of the young people that helped me with my program. He covers Southwest Alabama for me. Well, I say young people. He's younger than me, so.
I just want to thank you.
Yes, sir.
The same Rusty that I know?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
He does a very good job being a former teacher. He knows how to connect with young people.
Next up is ADECA. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Elizabeth Dial. I'm an attorney with ADECA. We have one contract before the committee with Liquidity Services Operations, LLC.
Any questions? This is the first of several contracts that I'm going to hold pending further information. We have a note here that ADECA failed to provide member names of the LLC. So we need to get that information. Here's the position on this, not trying to be difficult, but we're basically relying on summary information as we approve these contracts. So it's important that the paperwork be proper. So to the extent that something is not fully completed or complied with, we're going to hold that till as we receive that information.
Yes, sir. Liquidity Services Incorporated is actually the sole member of the LLC.
Okay, well, you can clear that up on the paperwork and we'll release the contract, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Agriculture and Industries.
Good afternoon. Gunnar Guy, General Counsel with Ag and Industries. We have two contracts. The first is a design services fee increase due to additional costs for the contract. And the second one is an environmental services contract, 75% federal money, where we dispose of pesticides, mostly related to farm products.
Any questions on the first contract? On the second contract, we'll hold that again because there's we need member names for Mommy Express Inc. and MXI Environmental Services.
Yes, sir. I'll get that in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Conservation, you have several pages of contracts.
Yes, sir. Juliana Dean for the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. We have 19 contracts before you today, all technical contracts for design professionals, engineers, and architects.
Are there any questions on any of these contracts by any of the committee members?
I just wish y'all would let us know what project each one of these are for. Let me see a list of all the projects. I mean,
Yes, sir.
what boat launch or where the rifle range is going to be. I'm excited about it. I just want to know where they are because I'm nosy.
That's wonderful. Thank you for your support.
Do you want to hold pending information? No. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Department of Corrections.
Good afternoon. I'm Mandy Spears with the Department of Corrections. We have two contracts today, one with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood and the other with JMR&H. And these are both one-year renewals for architectural and engineering design services.
Any questions? Thank you. Dry Cleaning Trust Fund Board. Going once. Okay, we'll hold that contract. Department of Education.
Good afternoon, Connor Johnston with Education. We have 6 contracts on the agenda today. The first 3 are with SREB, the Southern Regional Education Board. We actually have representation from our state. The governor is actually part of this board. Our first contract with them is for them to provide the Teaching to Lead certification program for CTE teachers. This is primarily for new CTE teachers that came from another profession. They go through the program. They're actually taught how to make a lesson plan, how to manage a classroom, how to actually teach the students. That's what that first one is.
Any questions? Okay.
That second contract, it is to provide their simulated workplace program for CTE teachers. So they go through so that they can be educated on how to educate their students how to be a responsible employee in the workplace.
This is the TRI leadership contract.
Oh, I was on the second SREB.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
I got you. Okay.
That's all that contract
Okay.
is for them to go through that professional development.
All right. Okay.
The third contract, it's year 2 of the Teaching to Lead program. It's going to focus more on personalizing those CTE assessments and projects while still meeting standards.
Questions? Representative Senator Albritton.
Thank you. What's the initial CTEs?
Career technical education.
So all these dealing with career tech stuff.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay.
The fourth contract actually is dealing with CTE as well, but it is with TRI Leadership Resources. CTE teachers are usually hosts of CTSO programs. That is, I have it written down right here, sorry. Career and technical student organizations. These are your things like Future Farmers of America, your Future Business Leaders of America, things like that. TRI is going to come in, they're going to host events, they're going to host conferences that these students can go to so that they can network and meet other students. They're going to have little competitions. They're also going to have JAG involved so that these students can see that, you know, once you get out of high school, if you enjoy the organization that you're in, there is a pathway for you to make a career out of it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Representative Klaus.
What is the funding source here?
The funding source on that.
Actually, we have a paperwork issue with this one. The funding source wasn't disclosed, nor was the LLC member, so we're going to hold this contract pending receipt of that information.
Okay.
Do you have a funding source at hand?
I do. I can. pull through the contract. You want me to pull through the contract and come back?
That's fine. We'll hold that pending receipt of that additional information.
Okay.
Next is Power School.
The next contract we have with Power School, this is for Power School to come in and from the ground up build us a customized data dashboard. This is so that our staff, our Numeracy Act staff, our Literacy Act staff, they can go in real time, see where students are struggling, where schools are struggling, rather than waiting on a report at the end of the year. They can go in, if it was implemented, they could go in today, click a button, see what students are struggling where, and provide that implementation or that intervention and that support to that school or that student how they need to.
So here we need members of the LLC for Severin Acquisition LLC. So we're going to hold the contract there. Also, I spoke with Ms. Sanders earlier today, requested a little more information on this contract. So we'll hold this pending receipt of that information. Senator Albritton.
This information would have spot on or immediate time data available. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that data, will it also be available to parents?
It's more geared towards us at the department being able to go in, because through the Numeracy Act, through the Literacy Act, we are required to provide support, that full-time support or that limited support, and go and actually provide interventions. So it's going to allow principals at the school or the superintendent at the school to go in, click a button, it runs a program to tell you that, you know, these 5 students are falling behind, and they can see that in real time rather than having for us to request information from them and wait for a report to get back. We'll also be able to see that information as well so that our staff can go in and they can take care of a crisis before it becomes one.
I understand, and that's great. My only question is if it's available to state employees, why shouldn't it be available to the parents? If they would have an immediate interest, I would think, in how their child or how their school is performing. That's my only concern, is if it's available an in-house thing, shouldn't it be available to parents also?
Okay, I can get more information on that. I know it's going to be run through the Power School program.
I would appreciate that.
I would assume that students or parents would have access to their own student information, but they wouldn't have access to the student body as a whole.
So long as it's the same data and the same information.
Right, okay.
Representative England.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, I have a son, he's 13 years old, and I have the Power School app on my phone.
Okay.
And he hates it because as soon as he does something at school, he misses an assignment.
Right.
As soon as the teacher enters it in, I get a push update on my phone and tells me immediately just how bad he's doing. And I tell you what, yeah, well, look, I'm gonna tell you, if this was around when I was in school, buddy, I'd never go. I would have been on punishment every day.
And now, instead of you getting multiple notifications, if this happens, you're going to get one notification for everything that's happened.
Great. It's even better. And also, when he's late for class, I get an update.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he hates it.
So we'll provide some more information, just if you would, a little bit to the committee in response to Senator Albritton's question, and also these LLC member names, please.
Okay, so the LLC names, and do you want me to talk to you after about further information, some questions y'all might have?
Well, you just give Senator Albritton and respond to his questions in an email, if you don't mind, to the clerk, and she'll distribute to us.
Okay, that I can do.
Okay. Next contract.
The last contract we have is with EBSCO Publishing. This is actually something that I know the governor's education office is interested in. I believe Commerce and Labor is also interested in it. They're going to come in and they're going to build a program. It's one prong of the Alabama Talent Triad that's going to be working with the Alabama Works website. This is basically going to allow employers, students, and schools to go in and submit credentials for students that are graduating soon or have just graduated. They're going to be able to use the website to go on there and say, I have these credentials, I have these certifications. It will then go to the certification or credential provider so that they can ensure that they are telling the truth. And then employers who are looking for potential employees can go on there. They can search for potential employees strictly by credentials. No other thing other than credentials, just to see if they are qualified for the job. And if you are interested in looking for a job, you can go on there and you will be able to search for a job based solely on if you are qualified for it and the job description.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ethics Commission?
Good afternoon. I'm Tom Albritton. I'm the Director of the State Ethics Commission. We have 3 contracts before you. The first one is an IT contract. It's really an extension of an existing contract, which you've previously approved a couple of times. The 2 key elements of this contract are to redo our online training video and to make it ADA compliant.
Sorry, this contract is with who?
Scott Howard
Okay, so
Consulting.
I only see 1 contract on the agenda today. You said you have 3.
There's 2 for there's 2 other ones for the retention of non-litigation counsel.
Are they in the Okay, we'll get to those later. So there's just this one right now. Okay.
Okay, and the is to get the video in compliance with the ADA, and the other is to upgrade our statement of economic interest form. The key feature of that is going to be to allow the user to adopt his or her previous year's filing so that you don't have to fill it out again. All you would do is just simply confirm that your thank you that your economic data hasn't changed.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. We'll see in a minute on the other 2 contracts.
Okay, thank you.
Department of Finance?
Good afternoon. I'm Darrell Masters from the Division of Risk Management, Department of Finance. We have 2 contracts today for you. The first is Origami Risk LLC. This is the Division of Risk Management's new information system that's currently being finished in its development and should be installed sometime early next year. This contract covers the fees for the operation of that system.
Any questions? Okay.
Second is Claims Pro Incorporated. This is one of our claims adjusters. It's merely an adjustment in the hourly rate that they receive.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Department of Human Resources?
Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Bush with the DHR Legal Office. DHR has 4 contracts before you today. The first is a 1-year renewal of an existing contract with Maximus U.S. Services, Inc. It extends it through December 31st of 2023, and it's 100% federal funds.
Any questions? Okay.
The second contract is a new contract with Conduit State Healthcare LLC. It goes through October 31st of 2022. It is 50% state funds and federal funds.
So I had a conversation with someone in your department. I understand they spoke with several members of the committee about all of these contracts. This is a $62 million contract, half of it state, half federal. Any questions by committee members about this contract? Senator Orr asked for more information, and he's had a conversation as well. So I think he's taking questions off the table. Okay.
The third contract is also a new contract with Tetris Corporation. It goes through October 31st of 2022. It is also 50% state funds and 50% federal funds.
Any questions? Again, I believe you satisfied Senator Orr's question.
The last contract is a new contract with Fieldprint, Inc. It is 20% state funds and 80% federal funds.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Medicaid.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Nick Hines. I'm an attorney with the Alabama Medicaid Agency. The agency has 5 contracts before you today. The first contract is with Health Management Systems, Inc., HMS. HMS is primarily to provide third-party recovery and some auditing-related services related to long-term care.
So I have a note here that says the original RFP was posted to the database. The renewal was not. That's okay. Okay. All right. Any questions? Next contract.
The next 2 contracts are for pharmacists. The first is Mary Stallworth, and the second is Marilyn Bullock. They'll serve on the federally mandated Drug Utilization Review Board for the agency.
Any questions? Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, there are 2 Drug Utilization Review Board contracts on the agenda. It was the agency's intent to have a third for pharmacist Dan McConaughey from Creola, Alabama. I talked to Mr. Paulk before the committee meeting. It seems like the agency may have, in transmitting the contracts over, the PDF was either unreadable or not complete. The contract is the exact same for Mr. McConaughey, is the exact same for the other two pharmacist contracts. And the agency certainly apologizes for any error in that transmission and would ask that that contract be considered as well. I do have a copy here for circulation and would be happy to stay after.
First, I'll ask Mr. Paul, any concerns or questions? Okay. Any members have concerns or questions about that? Okay, thank you.
The next contract is for Public Consulting Group. This contract is for, it is required by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services as a kind of a prerequisite or a requirement for the agency to move forward with its 1115 waiver program.
Okay, so we're going to hold this contract pending receipt of the LLC member names for Public Consulting Group Holdings, LLC.
And the last contract before you today is with Conduent State and Local Solutions. This is to provide or facilitate payments for the agency's non-emergency transports.
Okay, I have a note here that the cover sheet listed Capital Resources of Alabama as a lobbyist and it used to secure affiliated with this contract. No lobbyist was provided, so we're going to reconcile that paperwork and we'll hold this contract till that's reconciled.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Thank you. Mental health.
Brian Penn with mental health. Have one contract, the National Council for Behavioral Health. It's a new contract. The vendor is the sole operator of the National Training and Technical Assistance Center for SAMHSA-funded programs and grantees. The vendor provides state-specific training and technical assistance around the development of the Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinics, certification criteria, rate settings, policy revisions, program cost analysis, and drafting a Medicaid state plan amendment and/or Medicaid waiver to ensure both state and community providers are prepared for full statewide implementation of the CCBHC model.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Public health.
Good afternoon. I'm Valerie Russell with the Department of Public Health. I have one contract in front of you today. It's a new one-year contract for up to $200,000. It's 100% state funded. It's with the BINX, BINX Health Inc. sole source contract. And it's to provide at-home STD testing, notification, referral, and treatment.
Any questions? Thank you. I'm sorry, Senator Butler.
Is there anyone in this state that can do STD testing, referrals? I mean, this is Cambridge, Massachusetts, $200,000, all state money. I mean, we have STD problems here in the state too. Looks like somebody ought to be handling those and probably are right now. Would you give me some information on who's handling that right now?
Who's handling the STD testing within the state of Alabama? Yeah. Or that is in Alabama?
Somebody's doing it at Public Health. I'd just like to know how they're doing it right now prior to this contract.
Well, although this is a new contract, it's my understanding that there was an existing contract with this particular entity before.
They had a contract last year?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Same group.
That's my understanding.
We'll hold this contract pending clarification of those points.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Real Estate Commission.
Hi, I'm Ryan Adair, the Education Director with the Real Estate Commission. This is a contract with Pearson VUE to offer our license examination services. Of course, this is no cost to the state because they are compensated through license examination fees.
Any questions? Okay. Do you have another contract as well?
We do. I'll take that one. I'm Teresa Hoffman with the Real Estate Commission. And the second one is with Fieldprint. This is to continue fingerprint services. They collect them and process them for criminal history background to us.
Questions? Thank you. Rehabilitation services.
Good afternoon. I'm Shay Cannon. I'm the Chief Financial Officer with the Department of Rehabilitation Services. We have one contract for your approval today with Public Consulting Group. This is in order to do a rate analysis study of our Alabama Early Intervention System in order to make recommendations on long-term viability in those funds.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Department of Transportation.
Clay McBride with Alabama DOT. We have 3 contracts before you, all 80% federal, 20% state match. First 2 are geotechnical services. The third is transportation support services for our construction job.
Any questions on the first 2 contracts? The third contract we're going to hold pending receipt of LLC member names.
We'll get it to you immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Treasurer. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here. I'm Young Boozer, State Treasurer. I'm here with one contract. It's a contract with Lone Star Auctioneers. This is a 2-year renewal of an existing 2-year contract.
Any questions? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Department of Youth Services. Youth Services. Pardon? This Representative England.
Which case is this for again?
It's the reapportionment litigation.
Well, this is reapportionment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got you.
Yes, sir.
Those
I'm
rates-
sorry if I said something different.
No, I didn't hear that. The
Okay.
rates for those have been higher than the others. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Yes.
Banking Department.
Good afternoon. I'm Elizabeth Bressler with the Banking Department. We have one renewal of a contract with Hamp Bowles, who has helped us for years with his banking legal services, and we'd like to see it renewed.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Department of Corrections.
Mandy Spears, Department of Corrections. We have one renewal. This is a no-cost renewal. This is for William Lunsford of Maynard, Cooper, and Gale. This is for the case styled Bearfield and Dunn et al. In the Middle District of Alabama. This matter is closely related to the Braggs litigation, and thus Mr. Lunsford's representation in the Braggs and this are necessary to ensure property defense in both matters.
Any questions? Thank you. Ethics Commission.
Hello again, Tom Albritton, Director of the State Ethics Commission. The first contract is for non-litigation services with Hubie Dodd. The purpose is a defense of an employee, a bar complaint that's been filed against that employee. The second one is with William C. White, I'm sorry, for the same services, different employee.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Butler?
is this situation, Tom, with one agency suing another one, or?
Well, I would love to be able to talk with you about the details of it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that I'm able to do that. Given the nature of it, I think there's some confidentiality that attaches to the subject matter here. It is a bar complaint, and that's all that I think I can tell you right now.
Is this a AG's office? This has been in the press, I think.
Well, sir, again, I would love to talk with you about the details, but I just don't think that I'm able to do that based on the restrictions that apply here.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, since we're dealing with state money, I'd like to hold this contract till I hear from Mr. Albritton and take but a minute or two, but whatever you can't tell me now, maybe you can tell me later.
Yes, sir.
You want to hold both of these contracts?
Just that one.
Which one? I'm sorry.
It's the first one with the Dodd Law Firm.
Dodd's Law Firm. Hold that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislative Services.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Committee. This is a contract for a HR presentation that's going to be a part of their legislative.
We have a request that you introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Jimmy Intrican, General Counsel with the Legislative Services Agency. Thank you for that correction. I appreciate that. So this is a positive workforce training seminar, anti-harassment training seminar that's supposed to be for all legislators as a part of our organizational session coming up. And this contract is with Alex Drummond of Safe Air Shaw.
Any
It's
questions?
the same person that did it 4 years ago.
Any questions? Thank you. Space
Good to see
Science Exhibit Commission.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sam Mitchell, Head of Purchasing for the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. We have 3 contract renewals before you today, 2 of which are with Bradley, Arent, Bolt, and Cummings. One is just for a basic legal review of contracts, and the second one is for trademark infringements. The first one is no additional time, no additional money, just time. The second one is a small $50,000 addition.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Butler?
how long, Sam, on the last contract, how long has that class action case been pending?
Okay, that's the third one. I can get to that one. I don't have an actual time on how long. I believe it started.
I think we've seen this multiple.
You have? Yes, sir. I have some additional information since last time you and I met that I can share. Not much, but I have a little.
Okay.
But I hadn't got to that one yet, so you kind of threw me for a second.
All right.
Do you want to address that contract?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, sure.
The third one is Maynard, Cooper, and Gale. That is an ongoing class action suit. It's also a contract for any employee relations issues that may occur. This particular one has been going back and forth for several years. The plaintiff's attorneys will not agree to litigation of any kind. We have already taken care of the multiple hearings. We have the discovery completed, and we have now the depositions have been started. We met with the judge, and he had stated that he had ordered both parties to go into mediation by May 31st, 2023, and he wanted the case settled by the end of December 31st, 2023. So due to the people who filed the suit, they just won't sit down, they won't litigate, they won't even talk with us. So the judge says enough. At the end of this year, 2023, it's got to be resolved.
So he has set a date on that?
Yes, sir. He gave them a deadline, not an actual date, but a deadline. Yes, sir.
Questions? Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
That completes our agenda. However, I understand that someone who was not here earlier, the Dry Cleaning Trust Fund Board people, are they here? Okay. Are there any objection to going back and listening to this contract? Yeah. Page 13 of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Pat McWhorter. I'd apologize. I admire your punctuality. I'm not here directly for the Dry Cleaning Board. I represent Smith Warren Company, who manages the Dry Cleaning Board, but Keith Warren had to be out of town today and asked me to come in his place, and I got here as quick as I could. I can tell you what I know about this, and that is that Ms. Cousins has served for some time now as an interface between the dry cleaning board and their fund to remediate, the old sites, and working with ADM and Department of Revenue to coordinate. And then she makes recommendations then back to the board and schedules how they can do the remediation on old sites. From all I understand, she's done a fine job, and this is just a renewal of her.
Any questions about this contract?
I've got.
Representative Pringle.
So are you the lobbyist for the dry cleaning board?
No, sir.
Are you the lobbyist for?
I represent Smith Warren Company, who manages the dry cleaning board.
This contract they have with the dry cleaning board, how long have they had it? Do you know?
I don't know. It's been a while.
3 years.
It's a renewal.
It's 3 years.
Okay.
And they keep renewing it as an emergency contract. How can you have an emergency contract for 3 years running?
I don't have an answer for you.
I know, but I'm finding out more and more of his contracts are all emergency contracts, so they don't go through the bid process. And he keeps the same contract for multiple years as emergency contracts over and over. And he's got, what, 15 boards he does? That's an awful lot of emergency contracts that continue for year after year after year. I mean, what's the emergency? I don't understand. I mean, can anybody tell me why he has an emergency for 3 years running?
I don't have the answer for that. I'm not aware of it.
I don't know, Mr. Warren. But I'm on Sunset now. And you got a new chairman of Sunset. It's not me, but he's going to have to answer some questions why he uses emergency contracts and doesn't go through the bid process. So I'm putting you on notice.
Do you want to hold this contract?
No, I'm not going to hold it. I mean, the issue I have is much bigger than,
Right.
This is nothing to me. I just can't understand how you have an emergency contract multiple times, multiple agencies for year after year after year. So anyway, like I said, I don't know the man, but he's going to have a rough year this year, I think. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? Any other comments by committee members? With that, we'll adjourn. Thank you.
So far, how you doing? You having a phone?
No, it didn't.
Oh, hell, I know the budget chairman's ever helped. I mean, I need to go back through the budget and